George Foreman with a just happy to be here smile for the crowd as he was introduced. Now a bit of a scowl comes onto his face as he gets the game face on. Mills Lane awaits the two fighters.
All right, gentlemen, Angelo, and if he goes right here, I'm not going to call it low. Right here is going to be all right. Now, you've already had your instructions one time. This is for the championship of the world. I expect a tough, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions here? Any questions here? Let's get it on.
George Foreman and his camp did not want Mills Lane to be the referee. They wanted Carlos Padilla. The commission voted otherwise. Mills Lane considered one of the really outstanding referees, and perhaps for George, as suggested by one of the local writers here, a little too tough. In other words, not a kind of guy that George might influence to stop a fight when he wants it stopped. Round number one.
Here we go, Tim. I think we're going to find out early just how Tommy Morrison handles George's left jab and that little pushing movement that George has.
Well, and speaking of the left jab, you feel it's something that Morrison does pretty well and should do more of, especially in this fight.
Well, he said he was going to use his jab more in this fight, Tim. And he does have a very good solid jab when he uses it. Now you can see George pushing him off with those pushing tactics as soon as the fight starts.
Watching for signs of tightness or the stage fright we referred to on the part of Tommy Morrison. He knows this is a breakthrough fight, although he does not accept the fact that should he lose, that his career is over or that he should be dropped to the bottom of the barrel among the heavyweights. Most people feel he needs a win and a good showing here to be considered a serious title contender for the big guys, Bo and Lewis.
Good left hook on the side of George Foreman's head by Tommy Morrison. That got George's attention. Now I'm surprised that George isn't leading with that jab a little more. He's chasing Morrison, but he's not throwing anything.
Well, a sign of Foreman's considerable bulk and strength pushing back Tommy Morrison, the 226-pounder. Good right hand by Morrison. There were rumors that Morrison was knocked down in training by his sparring partner. He denies that. There were rumors that he had a bad right hand. He said it was a sore shoulder, and it was 5 weeks ago, and that he's 100% fit. Foreman, on the other hand, has been bothered by a sore right elbow in the last several months. And he claims to be over that. He accepts all of these little aches and pains as just signs of old age.
And Tim, so far, as I had mentioned earlier, George Foreman is just walking in, but he's not throwing any punches. He's not moving in behind that left jab at all. Good left hook to the body by Morrison.
The body attack very much in Morrison's strategy. Let's see if he can stay with it.
But Morrison has been using that left jab this round, as he told us he was going to do. And again, big right hand by Morrison.
That was a good lead. He saw the opportunity.
And again, you know, George is just walking in, not punching, Tim.
Under 30 seconds to go in round one. The more active Morrison in this first round. Combination just grazing the chin of Foreman. There's a good left to the ear. Foreman feinting, never delivered a punch. Another right lands to the head of Foreman. The end of round one.
Get a little close to him. Keep your body.
Take it easy. Very good. The jabs start working pretty. Guys looking to sucker you, just keep your hands up. That's all it's all about, really. Nothing there. Give me the best, man. Everything pretty. Everything pretty. I see it.
Angelo Dundee in George Foreman's corner.
7-7-2s to body, 7-7-2-1s.
Relax, baby. Doing good.
Any combinations, go to the body first, come up to the head. Bring his hands down. Doing a nice job. Real nice job. Good and relaxed. Good and relaxed. Keep that seven coming back high. When you feel yourself in the corner, get out of it.
Well, they gave Tommy Morrison the area code and the entire international number over there. Gil, decipher that for us.
Well, the only thing I know about is a 7 is a jab. Outside of that, I don't know.
Well, they gave him a bunch of 7s.
Now let's see if George changes his strategy at all. In his first round, Tim, he looked like a fighter that all of a sudden got old because he just didn't seem to react properly. Looking for the opening, but he's not firing. You know, that's what Joe Louis said at the end of his career. He said, I can see the opening, but by the time the message gets to my brain, the opening's gone. Well, let's see if George comes out of that doldrum now and starts snapping that good stiff left jab.
Good shot by Morrison off the clinch. That's a very mature play by Morrison there. And he scored it.
And that was one of those times when George did not push that left shoulder of Morrison's back.
Morrison looks very concentrated, very poised. I hesitate to say relaxed at this point.
No, you can't relax when you're in there with Big George. Morrison already has a little lump under his right eye.
Good right hand. That snapped back the head of Foreman.
That wobbled him a little bit, Tim. And what George is doing right now, if he keeps doing this, he's going to really make Morrison work and hopefully tire Morrison out, because George is not throwing too many punches at all.
We're in round 2, scheduled for 12. WBO title at stake, but much more to both fighters.
Good left hook by Morrison. Good combination to the body.
Roundhouse right hand lead fell short for Morrison.
Why he needed to throw that punch, I'll never know, Tim.
Those are the kinds of costly possible mistakes that he and his trainer Tommy Burgess hoped to avoid. They said they couldn't make mistakes against Foreman.
Morrison pointed out to us when we had the interview with him that he says George has to set. It takes him a long time to get off. He said, so I'm gonna get off first and beat him to the punch.
There's a sample right there.
That's
good
what
job.
he's been doing since the fight started.
And a good stiff jab from Morrison. Now Morrison looks a little more loose to me, Gil.
Yes, he does. He seems to be saying, oh, look, I'm having everything my own way.
Tried the uppercut. There's a good right hand from Foreman. His best punch so far.
And Morrison now has forgot the jab.
Yes, he led with the left hook. It served to back up Foreman, but did leave himself open.
He's doing fine.
Damn, what are you doing? He's trying to get around.
Okay. Deep breath.
Foreman standing up as customary in the corner, denying that the problem is he can't get up if he sits down.
Yeah. You waited in the corner and you let him get off first.
Let's take a look at this replay here. Now they're coming out of a clinch. George pushes him, but doesn't push him hard enough. Gets nailed with a good left hook. There's that right hand, and that did wobble George. George's legs did a little dance.
Well, he had a clean shot with that right hand down the pipe. His best punch of the round. Morrison has thrown 104 punches to 40 by Foreman so far through 2 rounds. Foreman the more accurate, 55% according to our punch stat keepers of the punch. Round 3 scheduled for 12. Tim Ryan with Gil Clancy and James Brown live on TVKO from the Thomas & Mack Arena in Las Vegas.
And now Morrison comes out using that left jab as he told us he was going to do, and forgot about it at the end of the last round. And it just seems George's strategy is going to be to try to wear Morrison out.
Morrison warned for a low blow, but it was a nice combination. The left jab followed by a left hook underneath.
I think George is trying to put mental pressure on Tommy Morrison.
Right hand lead, an uppercut that scored from Foreman, and a right hand behind it. But Morrison punches back. And a good defensive move by Morrison underneath the right hand of Foreman. Something in Morrison camp says they've worked on since the loss to Mercer. Better defense, better jabbing, better movement. And there, another sneaky shot off the clinch.
Well, again, George tried to push him but didn't move him. Look how long it takes for George to get off. He has Morrison in the corner, and he just doesn't get off. And Tommy's mouth is now starting to open up, and it's early in the fight. That could be a sign of fatigue.
Or the tightness that he seemed to bring into the ring the first round and a half. He was asked about second wins. He felt he got one against Joe Hip when he came back from difficulty to win.
Well, I thought he got a second win against Carl the Truth Williams. Tim, he looked like he was out of it. All of a sudden, you could see the second win, the winter force.
That was a good left jab from Morrison, although Foreman did not blink. And another good one. Foreman replies. Morrison looks more relaxed. He does look a little tired, but he's more relaxed. Roundhouse left by Foreman. He did not land it solidly. A low blow by Morrison. He got away with the right hand. Under 30 seconds to go, round 3.
And Morrison is really breathing heavy now, Tim. Really breathing heavy. Again, George is putting that pressure on, putting that pressure. Here comes George again. Like that old joke, I don't know what it is, but here he comes again.
Foreman can be expected to fight this way. Morrison and his camp knows it, and they keep saying, as they have preparing for this, we simply cannot make mistakes.
Keep it slow. Looking good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Now. It's a round you took off. Relax. Relax. Calm down. All right. Your recovery is good. Your recovery is good. The more you relax, the better off you are. Okay. Now, we need more punches. I need more sevens. Okay. That's what's going to keep him off of you. Fakes and flints when he gets close, and you don't want to throw.
There was that solid left hook to the body.
Two good combinations. Landed one by Foreman, then Foreman taking two back from Morrison. You heard Tommy Vergitz in the Morrison corner saying, I need more sevens. He could use those at the casinos here in Las Vegas as well, I guess, but they're a jab here at the Thomas and Mack. So there's one coming from him, and two more. Make the trainer happy. Round 4. Foreman dug a left to the body, but Morrison snapped a left hook counter punch and does it again with a good jab.
And a good left hook by Foreman and a good jab by Foreman. Another good jab by Foreman. Another good jab by Foreman.
Starting to back up Morrison with the jab.
All right, punch out. Two-handed frame.
Look at that strength of that George Foreman.
Punch out.
Morrison landed a left hook to his ear, and Foreman just pushed him away. Now a short right inside from Foreman. Morrison punching back. It's opening up here in the 4th. Foreman throwing in combination now. Morrison trading, lands a right. Right hand lead from Morrison. Raised the nose of Foreman. Morrison works his way out of the corner and lands a left hook. The crowd getting into this as the fighters exchange those combinations early in the round.
Get that elbow down.
And here in the 4th,
Punch out, come on.
perhaps the real fight, knowing they're in for war here.
Tim, one of the keys to this fight is if Tommy Morrison can make George take a back step. So far, George is putting all the pressure on Morrison, constantly going forward, pushing him back, moving after him again as he's doing now. Morrison is going to have to try to back Foreman up.
Through 3 rounds, Foreman the more accurate puncher. 66% to 35% according to the punch stat guys. Just missing a big right hand was Morrison. Under 30 seconds we go in round 4. Morrison back to the jab. Foreman lands the overhand right. Morrison missed with his. Digs to the body. Short right from Foreman. To Morrison's credit, each time he's taken that right hand, he's thrown one back of his own.
I got it. I'll get the iron.
Don't talk loud, please.
No, I won't say nothing. I'm with you. Give me it. I'm here. I'm here nice and quiet, baby. Anything you want.
On our jabs to throw our combinations. We got to have head movement before and after your jabs. Before and after. He's starting to creep up on you in the corners.
Gil, how do you see it through 4?
Well, so far, Tim, I have the fight dead even. Gave the first 2 rounds to Morrison, second 2 rounds to Foreman because of his aggressiveness and the pressure that he's putting on Tommy Morrison.
To the punch, anytime you feel trapped, be into the punch, fake slants, double 7.
He's fine.
That jab, baby.
Now, punch stat shows in the jab category, Morrison landing only 28% of his, but it's still been an effective weapon for him. Just the fact that he has been throwing it. Right hand lead. Got through by Morrison. Low blow from Foreman and a good left hook by Morrison.
2 good left hooks by Tommy Morrison, and George didn't move. Those were Morrison's best 2 punches of the fight. And you can just see George putting that pressure on, pushing him back, as we had mentioned in the opening.
Foreman weighing in at 256 to 226 for Tommy Morrison. Feints the right hand. Morrison throws a left jab out. Missed the uppercut, but landed a good left hook.
And George's right eye is starting to close, Tim. You have to remember, that's 44-year-old skin that's being hit there. It's not as elastic as a young man's.
Well, and he took quite a facial massage in the fight against Alex Stewart. Approaching the midway mark here in round 5. Morrison in the corner. And escapes along the ropes and then turned back right into a right hand from Foreman. George, we heard Foreman tell Angelo Dundee, don't say anything when he came back to the corner. He wanted no counsel from the veteran trainer, and Dundee said, don't worry, champ, I'm quiet.
Well, that was very smart of Angelo.
George keeps his own counsel. Unless he asks you, he doesn't expect any free advice.
It's not free, Tim. Angelo gets paid.
Good point. I hope he does. Got to keep him in sand and water down there in Florida. 45 seconds left in the 5th. Foreman throwing punches, but none of them damaging in that exchange. Morrison digs to the body without much power. Under 30 seconds we go in the 5th. Sneaky left hook lead by Morrison that landed. He's not been able to bother Foreman except with 1 shot earlier in the fight, round 2.
George just keeps walking forward.
But not terribly effectively. in the second half of this round. End of round 5. Foreman plodding forward, but not really landing much in the way of scoring punches, in my view, in the 5th.
I might agree with you 100%, Tim. I gave that round to Morrison.
Okay, very good.
Let me put it in mind.
But we need combinations, punches and bunches. Lead with speed, follow with power. Lead with speed, follow with power.
Not sure what Morrison had in mind at that point where he turned back into the fray. Fortunately for him, he didn't take a clean punch.
He tries to force the issue.
I've seen him lose his cool before, Morrison, especially against Carl Williams. He doesn't react too well when he gets hit with a solid punch.
Morrison breathing with his mouth open as we begin round 6, but he comes out firing.
When he went back to the corner at the end of the last round, Tim, Tommy Morrison looked very, very tired. Again, George is not being very effective. He's walking in without throwing too many punches, but he's keeping that pressure and keeping Morrison working. He must have something in mind for later on in the fight.
The left got through for Morrison. I think one question has been answered for Morrison, the aspect of his stage fright and ability to play up to this moment. A low blow from Foreman gets a warning from Lane. Morrison seems to be relaxed very much in the fight. Despite the possible fatigue factor, Gil, Morrison so far has stuck to the game plan he wanted. Foreman doing what he does all the time, and that's just stalk you.
The only thing is, it's really taking George a little too long to get off, even when he traps Morrison in the corner or against the ropes. But he is putting the pressure. I think he feels that Morrison is going to wear out.
But meanwhile, would you agree Morrison is piling up the points?
Absolutely. I think he's winning this round. I thought he won the last round.
Combination from Foreman there.
All right, let's step back. Have to go, guys. Come on, come on.
A little bit of swelling under the right eye of George Foreman. Damage, there it is again, and
tremendous left hook by Tommy Morrison.
Morrison with the left jab and the left hook has definitely created some swelling under the right eye of Foreman.
And you can see again, George traps Morrison in the corner, takes him a half hour to get off. Now let's take a look at it. He has him on the ropes. Let's see when George finally throws the punch. He doesn't.
We talked about Morrison showing some signs of fatigue and Foreman trying to play on that. You have to wonder how far along in this bout Foreman can keep his pressure up without suffering his own fatigue. He's 44.
It's easier to walk forward, though, Tim, than to go backwards. Believe me. Good right hand by Foreman. Another right hand by Foreman. And Morrison answers back.
Yes, he did. He answered back with a good combination. Foreman gave it a little Ali shuffle on that right hand. And a big left hand by Morrison. And a right hand lands. Nice variety of punches. He followed with the left jab at the end of all of that. Morrison, in my view, putting rounds in the bank. And the question you raise is fatigue going to be a factor in the second half?
Halfway through. Better than halfway through. You're catching your second win now. Right now, we're going to catch our second win. Relax. Catch your second win. All right?
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. Just with right hand.
Close your mouth.
Beat him with right hand and hook behind it. 2, 3 punches. Stop him from coming back with nothing.
The jab is everything, son. Everything.
Oh, little what?
Set him up.
You could hear Angelo Dundee saying to Foreman, the jab is everything, son. Angelo is old enough to call George his son.
And Tim, there was a nice combination from George Foreman.
4 times in a row. 3, 4 times in a row, he goes. Jab.
Tommy Morrison asked for the stool to be positioned under him better. He is definitely tired. His trainer, Tommy Vergett, saying this is where we get the second win. We'll all find out. Round 7.
What's the head today, guys?
You better not get the second win this early, Tim, or you may need a third win.
Big right hand from Morrison, and a left hand, and another left. The uppercut scored. He can't seem to move Foreman back, but how much can the old man take? He lands a right of his own. Combination from Foreman, not a lot on it. Missed with the right, and another right hand from Morrison scored.
This is a gut check for Tommy Morrison because George Foreman took his best shots and is firing back.
He got thumbed accidentally on the last right hand. Foreman landing with his thumb into the left eye of Morrison.
No question, George Foreman is a competitor. After taking those punches, he fired back with the best punches he's thrown in the fight. That's when instinct took over. Morrison looks like he's gasping for breath now.
But Gil, when he's punching with power, despite the obvious fatigue.
Oh, he has power. He's got snap in those punches.
Getting a little bit of rest here just by moving out of range of Foreman, not taking the pressure. Not a bad idea. I think he's fought this fight intelligently to this point. Banging to the body is Morrison, but a good right hand from Foreman. And a left from Foreman that landed. Little right hand lead, takes a left hand back from Foreman.
Well, we had mentioned when Morrison can move Foreman back, that's when you can see that he's taking over the fight, and he has not been able to do that. No matter what he does, George just keeps coming.
Two short, sharp punches inside from George. Chopping right just grazed Foreman, grazed Morrison, did not hurt him. Under 30 seconds in round 7, an uppercut from Morrison that landed. I would say one weapon of George's that has not been the usual factor is his left jab. Not the usual punishing weapon.
He's not snapping that jab, Tim, you're right.
Low blow warning to Foreman.
Okay, Tommy.
Here we go.
Got you, buddy.
Looking good, baby.
Hey.
Keep it slow. It's your fight. You're in control.
You're in good control. I want you to take 30 seconds. All right, give yourself 30 of movement. I have to have more sevens. You let him come in there all day long just now without throwing your sevens.
His eyes are swelling shut.
I need your hands up. I need your position a little bit better, and need more combination.
That right hand lead from Morrison. Catching Foreman unawares. And a sneaky left hook there, and that uppercut underneath.
All right, here we go. Seconds out.
That's where he got thumbed with that left hand from Foreman, but did not appear to bother Morrison. His corner telling him he's in control. Gil, you're worried about stamina over the last part of the fight. If you were in his corner, are you telling him he's in control, even though he may be?
Right now, Tim, I have the fight 67-66 Morrison, 1 point ahead. But as the fight goes on, it looks like Morrison
All right,
is
George, get him up. Come on, let's
getting
go. Come
more
on.
and more
All right.
fatigued. And 44-year-old George, very remarkable, taking those punches and continues to come forward. Again, Morrison's got to say to himself, what do I have to do to stop this big guy? And so far, he has not been able to do it.
Gil, if you know your man's ahead, but you think he's tiring, are you giving him the counsel they did, or the notion that he is in control? Or do you avoid saying that?
Well, Tim, what I used to do, if my guy looked a little tired, I tell him the other guy was tired. And now George is really starting to, there was that snappy left jab of George Foreman's.
That's been missing, but he just landed it there.
But again, when he moves Morrison against the ropes, he doesn't get off. And Morrison scouted George well. He said it takes a long time for him to get off, so I'm going to keep getting off first all night.
Low blow from Foreman, and Foreman the first to apologize, but the effect nonetheless felt by Tommy Morrison.
You get 5. Time.
Now you heard Mills Lane stopping the clock in the round.
5 minutes. You can have this too.
And telling Morrison that he has 5 minutes to recover if he takes it all.
That's the second one. Next time's going to cost you a point, okay?
There's a look at it. And Lane telling Foreman he'll take a point away. He had warned him previously.
Next time will cost you a point. No point yet, okay?
He's not taking a point.
No, he said, what I said, Gil, was that he warned Foreman he would take a point away on the next one.
You can't talk to him. You can't talk to him.
That's what I said to him. He's not taking a point.
Correct. No, but what he said to Foreman, Gil, was that he would take a point away the next time because he's warned him twice.
Hey, there you go. Hey. Okay.
Anytime there's
time in, let's go.
If there's a flagrant low blow like that, Tim, I think he certainly should have taken a point.
Well, your point is he should have taken a point. Is that what you're saying? All right. Well, he simply said to Foreman, I will take a point away the next time. Action continuing in round 8.
Good elbow.
If nothing else, taking the pain, it served as a little breather for Morrison, who did not take the full 5 minutes he could have.
Good left hook to the body by Morrison.
And another good left hook landing.
That rest seemed to revitalize Morrison a little bit, Tim. Punching a little better.
Under a minute to go now in the 8th round.
That's those heads. What's the head in there?
You have to admire the pressure, the fortitude, the stamina of George Foreman, but I've only given him 1 round, and quite as generous as you've been so far, Gil, in this fight. The question mark that you raise certainly remains. Can Morrison go the distance? And that's a funny thing to be asking about the 24-year-old when he's fighting a 44-year-old.
Well, it's a matter of styles, Tim. Foreman is fighting a relaxed fight, walking in, and the other guy's dancing all over the place and backing up. And that's what makes you tired. Now, I'm sure in George Foreman's mind, he thinks he won this round because he's been chasing Morrison the entire way.
Through 7 rounds, Morrison had thrown 100 more punches than Foreman.
We're going to have to steal each round now, okay? At the end, you're going to steal with combinations. Now, look, he's slow. He's frustrated, but you got to start picking it up. 4 rounds to go. We got that all day long, right? We got that all day long. Ain't nothing to it. You got to rest in between. Hell, you've never had that in practice, right? Okay, now, I need combinations. I need everything with speed, finishing out of the middle, okay? Don't worry about that.
Slip to the left. Short right hand. Okay. Just keep your hand up.
Give him the mouthpiece.
All right, John. I got it.
Close your mouth. Come here, son. A little more. That's it.
I want you.
That's Charlie Shipes talking to George Foreman between rounds this time, asking him to slip to the right, throw short left hands. You heard the Morrison camp telling him they want combinations, finish them up, and don't stay there. We're into round 9, scheduled for 12, this being for the World Boxing Organization Heavyweight Championship, a vacant title. Devalued by some, but not by George Foreman, who says he'll take it.
Big left hook by Tommy Morrison.
A dandy, splattering the sweat from the brow of Foreman into the seats.
And the right hand by Morrison.
Foreman, a good combination, and he's getting some chance from Tommy. Tommy in the crowd.
There's a new move for George Foreman.
I think he's worried about the sweat on the canvas there and the possibility of slipping. It looked like he was trying to dry out the soles of his feet.
Tell you one thing, George is not yet discouraged. He's right back after Morrison, no matter how many times Morrison hits him.
Morrison landed a low blow without a warning.
I'm still looking for a good couple of snappy left jabs from George Foreman, and I don't see him. There I saw him. There's that uppercut by Morrison.
Good shot by Morrison.
Matter of fact, Morrison is landing most of the clean punches. There you can see George pushing those shoulders back that he does so well. But again, he moves Morrison into the corners, and he just can't get off. Can't get off. Look how he stays there before he punches.
And a badly timed shot from Foreman there. Landed a left behind it, but not much power. Morrison jabs his way out.
Morrison has a worried look on his face now, Tim.
Under a minute to go in the ninth. Good combination from Morrison. Buys himself a little time by moving around the ring. You know, he's had that mouth open for a number of rounds, all the way back to the third. But I don't think his fatigue has hurt him so far, and we're into the ninth. He's still punching with power, and in my view, has been in control of this fight. If Morrison goes to the 10th, that'll be the longest he's gone.
Look how long George, before George gets a punch off. Had him here for about 20 seconds. Never threw a punch.
And there it takes a short shot off the clinch, and Lane gives him a warning. But Morrison has done that 2 or 3 times to effect.
They say protect yourself at all times, Tim.
Good jab from Foreman. They have been infrequent. Morrison one back of his own, ending round 9.
Yeah. No, nothing. No. I got it. Don't worry. You'll have everything. There, hold that. Everything's fine. As long as you're jabbing, you keep your hands up. You're beautiful.
Yeah, the man keep up here. Hit him with left hook, right hand. 1, 2, 3. Just spinning.
Don't worry about the body shot. Champ, let him go.
In the face. Throw out the gloves. Get him out of there. Don't let him creep in on you. Okay? Everything that has 7s, move away, set up. Set up quicker, set up quicker, making calls.
Let's take a look at this action in the clinch there. And you can see George trying to push Tommy Morrison away. And Mills Lane stepped in, and Morrison hit him with a right hand right on the chin.
Morrison showing effectiveness despite breathing heavily in round 9 through 42 punches, landed 55% of them. To 37% for Foreman, who threw only 30.
Good left hook by Morrison again. Again, we had mentioned that Morrison has so many physical advantages. He's got the hand speed, foot speed, and a punching power. But George, I know, takes a tremendous punch, and I didn't think Morrison was going to be able to take some of these solid punches, but George hasn't landed too many.
Gil, we're in the 10th round. Would you agree that old George needs a knock to win this?
Well, I have Morrison 3 points ahead, Tim, so if Foreman could win the last 2 or 3 rounds, would have a very interesting score. But
he landed a good left hand, but just grazed Morrison with the right behind it on the cross.
But it takes him so long to get off, Tim. Morrison scouted him perfectly for this fight. There was a good stiff jab by George.
Well, there have been a lot of skeptics, a lot of doubters about Tommy Morrison. I think they have to kind of come around here, should he win this fight, to feel that he has fought intelligently and kept to his strategy.
Morrison, Tim, was affected by that right hand by George Foreman. It didn't look like a big punch, but it bothered Tommy.
And another low blow, that one to the kidneys. Mills Lane doesn't agree with him. He was bothered by that.
Now let's see how George reacts. And Morrison wobbled a little bit, Tim.
Yes, he did, off a short left from George. Another low blow from Foreman he gets away with.
And here's George pushing him back into the corner, but Morrison escapes.
Morrison trying to keep his feet under him. Throws a combination without a lot of zip. That's a little better, a right hand behind the left hook. Foreman missing. Morrison over the top. Under a minute to go in the 10th.
And George's right eye is really starting to look angry now. Big swelling underneath that right eye. And they're booing Morrison for moving away. But it is an effective strategy.
Well, those are Foreman fans, no doubt. A good right hand by Morrison. And a good left by Foreman. That blocked Morrison. Morrison comes back with a right of his own. Morrison's hands are down more here. He's in jeopardy.
Another low blow by George.
That's going to cost him a point.
And that does cost him a point.
1 point off. 1 point off here. 1 point off. Come on.
Big right hand by Morrison.
Final seconds of the 10th. Roundhouse left misses.
Okay. Only got 6 minutes. This guy ain't gonna steal nothing. You're right, he ain't a good referee. But he ain't gonna help him none.
After giving a third warning for unintentional. That's unintentional low blows deducted 1 point.
Mouthpiece.
On the left corner from George Foreman.
Hey, Mills, I have to have a lot of savage, a lot of punches and bunches. Beating to the combinations, hands up, hips.
There you can see that low blow by George Foreman. Morrison answered nicely with a good left hook on the button.
It did cost Foreman a point. And there's a very good left hook back, as Gil described. Into the 11th round. New territory here for Tommy Morrison.
No foul, right? You gotta be ashamed of yourself.
And again, you had mentioned that George Foreman did not want Mills Lanes, the referee. That 1 point he took would be a key point.
How's your scorecard now, Gil? There it is.
97-94 Morrison.
I have Morrison handily ahead, having given only 1 round to Foreman back in the 4th. Now you can make the case for him stalking and leading the attack, but Morrison has been the busier fighter. 402 punches to 338 through 10.
Well, you know what it's like? It's like a cat and a dog. The dog chases the cat into the corner, and then the cat scratches the heck out of him. That's what Morrison's been doing. Moving back, gets trapped in the corner, but then he gets off first and lands the clean punches.
But how about your concern earlier that he was showing fatigue that might be a factor in these late rounds?
Well, his corner man told him he was going to get a second wind, and it looks like he did. But again, he better not need a third one.
We're in the 11th, scheduled for 12.
And you see,
down by.
Again, George had him in the corner. Morrison got off first. George just walks in, doesn't punch, and Morrison nails him with some kind of punch or the other. Here's George walking in again, walking in.
And he lets Morrison without much resistance from that corner.
And you know, Tim, they say fighters get old all of a sudden. George didn't get old all of a sudden, but you can certainly see the signs of aging in this fight, because it's taken him so long to pull the trigger on any punches. Even if he happens to get lucky and win the fight, there's a big difference in this George Foreman.
Big left hook off the clinch again. Morrison's done that well throughout the fight. That left hook missing. Under a minute to go in the 11th.
Well, Morrison, I think, feels he's got the key, Tim, and he's very, very relaxed. He knows what he has to do. He's got to get through this round and one more round. Here comes George again. He's got to say, and again, George walks in and Morrison does the punching. Here's George again, coming again. Now let's see how long it takes him to get off. Doesn't get off at all.
Morrison now throwing punches from all angles. Right hand leads, left hook leads. He's abandoned his jab.
In George's mind, he probably thinks he's winning these rounds because Morrison's retreating. But he's retreating and George is getting nailed.
I don't see how Foreman can believe that, although Angelo Dundee tried to convince him of that during the last break. between rounds.
And Morrison is breathing heavy.
Last round.
Very good. Last round, there ain't no more.
Keep your hand.
Ain't no more.
Keep your hand up.
Keep your hands up.
He's hitting this boy. He's about ready to quit any time, but he's getting room. So keep your hands up and get toes loose.
A lot of combinations, okay? I need you. He's going to come at you here now, okay? Everything you coming forward on, okay? 7-7 combinations. Get on the inside. Be tight. Be tight on the inside. Look for you.
Ain't doing nothing. Just don't blow your nose. Last round now, champ. Ain't no more. Don't let him turn his back on you.
Punch. You understand what I'm saying? Steal the last 30 seconds. That's right. They telling him he's got knocked out.
Let's go.
Let's go. Buddy, it's you. Shoot.
And final round. How about a
Good
round
sign
of
by
applause?
Morrison coming up that stool with some enthusiasm here. We're into the final round. And you got to believe the way we have been viewing it, that Tommy Morrison may be on the verge of ending the career of George Foreman. Foreman could choose to continue should he lose here tonight, but that's highly unlikely. He has indicated that a loss would send him into final retirement after his glorious career, especially the second round of that. Morrison cannot afford a mistake. His corner says, be tight, be close, don't leave yourself open. And he lands a good right hand.
And Tim, knowing George's mind the way I think I do, if he loses the fight, don't be surprised if he doesn't say he's going to fight again.
Ask for a rematch, maybe. But George Foreman, 75 fights in his illustrious career, only 3 losses, maybe looking at number 4 at age 44. For Tommy Morrison, it would get the monkey off his back. Silence the skeptics.
Good right hand by George Foreman.
Short right
Good
hand.
Short right hand.
George Foreman showing that great championship quality, doing all he can. Is it enough? Hasn't backed up since the fight began, but has taken most of the punishment.
Timmy's a physical marvel at his age. If he ever go these 12 rounds,
Even had a word for his corner there. We couldn't make it out. George headed to sitcom heaven there at ABC when his fight is over here. He'll begin filming in July.
hook by Tommy Morrison. Combination. Again, George is really frustrated now. Really frustrated. He's trying, but he just can't seem to be able to put it together.
Under a minute to go in the fight.
You can just see Tommy Morrison getting off first, beating George to the punch. No matter how long George has him trapped on the ropes, Morrison still beats him to the punch.
And Morrison.
Good left hook. Good left hook by Foreman.
It was a good left hook, but I don't think as punishing as it appeared. Morrison had his hand up and he kind of leaned back on the ropes.
Over here. Time.
Here's a break for Tommy Morrison.
Loose tape on Foreman's glove, and Morrison happy about this development. A little breather for Morrison.
Just take the tape off. All right, that's good enough. That's good enough. That's good enough. Come on, Charlie.
35 seconds remain.
Time in. Come on, here we go.
That was a break for Tommy Morrison. And again, it could add to the controversy of Mills Lane, although he certainly did the right thing by stopping the fight and fixing that tape. And he didn't put the tape on George's glove.
Just following the rules. I don't think there can be any controversy, and it's loose again. They didn't repair it well.
Time.
And he calls time with 11 seconds left, but they keep fighting.
And Mills Lane lets them fight.
All right, hey, over here. Time.
He's calling time again.
All right.
And a bell sounds, ending the fight. It really doesn't matter. It is moot. Tommy Morrison with the look of a winner. The 24-year-old from Kansas City. Only one defeat on his record, that at the hands of Ray Mercer, but a lot of skeptics about his ability And no doubt some of those will be saying, well, if he wins this, he should have been able to stop the old man. But we saw how tough, how strong George Foreman still is at age 44.
What a competitor he is, Tim. He almost never wants to face defeat. And Angelo was steaming George up a little more, telling him he was right about Mills Lane.
George, your eyes look good.
How have you got it at the end of the fight, Gil?
Well, Tim, I have Tommy Morrison winning by a wide margin. With the point deducted, I have Morrison 117, Foreman 111. I didn't give him any credit for his aggressiveness because it wasn't effective aggressiveness. He chased Morrison, chased him, and when he caught him, he got nailed.
You got to throw punches for sure. He didn't throw enough of them, in my view, either. I thought Tommy Morrison fought a very intelligent fight, stuck with his plan, and I think he deserves full credit for a victory I expect he's going to get. Let's find out if he did. We'll go now to our host, James Brown.
All right, Timmy, thank you very much. And as we await the decision from Michael Buffer, three things come to mind. Quickly, all fight fans certainly know that George Foreman offered some advice to Tommy Morrison after that fifth-round brutal beating at the hands of Ray Mercer back in October of 1991. The question is, did that advice come back to haunt George Foreman tonight? Number two, a much more serious work ethic displayed by Tommy Morrison tonight. He was in excellent shape. We'll get back to the third point after the most important point, and that's the decision. Let's go back down to Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you the winner of this bout will be the WBO World Heavyweight Champion. We go to the scorecards. Dalby Shirley and Patricia Jarman both score the bout 117 to 110. Jerry Roth scores the bout 118 to 109 for the winner and new champion, Tommy the Duke Morrison.
So Big George Foreman, in fact, may have had that advice come back to haunt him. Tommy Morrison, I think, answered an awful lot of questions. The third point that I was going to make, Tommy Morrison has said repeatedly that he did not.
12 rounds of boxing for the heavyweight championship of the world. Introducing first, in the blue corner, wearing red and weighing 250 pounds, this 1968 Olympic gold medalist has a professional record of 72 victories against 4 losses. 67 of those victories have come by way of knockouts, and his KO to win ratio is the greatest in heavyweight history. And tonight, he comes into this ring looking to add his name to another page of heavyweight history.